wind up tanking the thing?
It's going to collapse.
Well, then what do we do?
It's going to collapse, and the whole world's going to collapse, and it is not going to be nice.
Okay. Now, what is the average American citizen out here, what can we do to make sure that we survive that?
Okay, well, listen carefully, and I've been singing the same song for the last 8 years, ever since I got everybody out of the stock market before it collapsed and got them into gold and silver-related assets. And recently, those who are in the market, I got them out at 14,000 as well. And so the people who are subscribers, or people who listen to the broadcasts that I do about 20 a week, they know what to do, but you don't. And so what you have to do is this. The most important thing is to get rid of your credit card and revolving credit, which is your most expensive debt. You've got to get rid of it. If you're in a good position right now, pay down your vehicles. Good chance one of you is going to be out of work shortly. And at least if those things are paid off, you may be able to keep your home. The second thing is, if you've done that, the next thing to do is put in some extra food, particularly freeze-dried, dehydrated foods, and a water filter. And things could get nasty, so you have something to defend your home and your family. The next step is, if you do have money beyond that you would like to keep whole or not lose, then you would buy gold and silver related assets. That would include gold and silver coins and shares. And those are the things that I think are the most important things that people can do.
Okay. Are you in our chat room, Bob?
What's that?
Are you in our chat room?
No, I never go to chat room.
Oh, okay, because somebody's in there using your name, and they said, ask me about that, natural-born citizen. Do you want to elaborate on that?
I don't go to chat rooms. I never go on the Internet. All I do is I have a site which I put something up every week for people to read, and I just do my research, and all of the things that you can't find on the major media that are important, we publish them. And that's very important, because your government and your business community are not telling you the truth.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, in our second half hour, I would like for you to talk about Obama. I know that you have a message there. But, I'm going to tell you something personally. For the last 3 or 4 years, I have seen this coming like a freight train at me. Karen and I, we have, as Dave Ramsey says, we have ate beans and rice and beans. We are now down to where we just got a little loan at the bank here, and that'll be paid off by this time next year. And everything else we got is paid for. And the reason I did that, Bob, was one very simple reason. I did not want to be in a position to have it lose everything, because I seen this thing coming.
Well, what they're trying to do now, and they're in the process of deliberately reducing interest rates, and I won't go into how they do that, they being the Federal Reserve and the U.S. Treasury.
My God, they got it down to where it's just 0.25% or less now, 0 to quarter. They can't go any lower, can they?
No, and they've been there for some time, actually. And they're bringing down the 10-year note and LIBOR by flowing great amounts of money into those markets. LIBOR is the London interbank rate, and a lot of mortgages are based on that. And they're trying to bring the 30-year fixed-rate mortgage down to 4.5%. And banks don't want to lend at that level, because they're borrowing short and lending long on a 30-year loan, and that's not a good idea. And the lending that banks are doing commercially are only to the best customers. And for individuals, those with FOICs that are over 720. And about 48 to 50% of Americans have ratings below that. And so about half of Americans essentially can't get loans. So the reason they want the rates down, because the banks don't want to lend at those levels, is because they want to get rid of the tremendous housing inventory that's out there. And so what they're going to do is fully insure through the FHA, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, loans which they will give to the same people who just lost their homes because they lied in their applications and they couldn't keep up the payments. And the same charlatans who originated the loans are back, some of them with criminal records, doing the same thing. And we're going to have another scandal about 2 years from now, when these loans that they're making now through the FHA and Fannie and Freddie come home to roost.
Okay, Bob, I got a question for you. Some of the people in the chat room got a couple questions. What do you think people should do with their 401ks?
What do I think what?
That people should do with their 401k?
Well, it's a very hard question. Congress has heard a bit of testimony on what should be done with retirement plans. And one of the first groups to speak to Congress on the Congressional Committee was a group that advocated that the United States government take over all retirement plans and take care of people through Social Security. And what it is grand theft.
And that was my second question.
That possibility exists, although I'm not saying it's probable, it's possible. And this is the terms in which Congress is thinking. And the reason why is that Social Security and Medicare are both bankrupt, or will be in short order. And a depression will certainly bankrupt them. And so government wants to take over, or it seems like they do, take over retirement plans. I think, every situation is different, and every family is different. And some people can afford to pay the penalty if they're under 59 and a half, and pay the tax and get out of their IRAs and Roths and 401ks if they choose to. Not everybody is in that position. So I can't give you a blanket answer to that. And, I've handled people's money for almost 50 years, and I handled hundreds of millions of dollars when I was a stockbroker. And incidentally...
okay, Bob, hold on to that thought. We're fixing to go to a break, and we'll be back in just a minute. Well, welcome back to the Lions Den, everyone. We're glad to have all of you out there. We got Miss Karen over Studio B, and we got Mr. Bob Chapman, who is probably one of the foremost financial experts in this world. He's on here answering y'all's questions tonight. If you want to call him, call 806-447-0270. We'll be glad to take your calls here in a little bit. And, Bob, are you still with me?
I certainly am.
Okay, Bob, I'll tell you what, the chat room has got one big question. It seems like what's on everybody's mind. What is going to happen to Social Security and Medicare?
Well, first of all, Social Security from its inception was looted. It started in June of 1935, and FDR, as soon as the money came in, funneled it through the general fund, and it was used to put forth the program which he promulgated to stop or ameliorate the Depression. I think that it's a kind of program that Mr. Obama is going to put together. And so ever since its inception, the Federal Reserve has been broke. They just take the money and put it in the general fund. It's a pay-as-you-go program. The government will tell you, and the AARP, which is 50% funded by the federal government, will tell you that all the bonds are there and the collateral is there. Well, the bonds are not saleable. There's not a market for them. They're just pieces of paper. And so there's never been any money in Social Security. And what's happened is the number of people who are paying in have fallen, and they're going to fall a lot more in the years to come because there are not as many people being born as there were back in the 1930s, and particularly the 40s, 50s, and 60s.
Okay, Roy, hang on just a minute. I'll let Ed know you're on the line.
Turn your mic off, Karen. All right, Roy, welcome to the show. What's your question for Bob? Hello, Bob. Roy?
Yes.
What's your question for Bob?
Yes, I think what Bob should do is break it down like on a percentage basis, how much you should have in gold or silver, and if like assets like real estate are good to hold, or if you do have a portfolio, what percentages should be in what type of investments.
Well, you've seen what's happened to real estate in the last several years. We call the top of the market, incidentally, and there was only one other economist besides myself who did that, and it was A. Gary Schilling, who's a professor and economist at Yale University. And incidentally, I call the top of the 2000 market as well, and only less than 2% of analysts and economists call that top. I think that real estate has to clean out its inventory. That means that the builders are going to go under because they can't build any homes because there's too many of them sitting around. And these low interest rates might put people back into homes, but they're still not going to be able to pay for them. So the residential real estate market, because of the continuum until the end of next June of subprime loans as well as Alta loans, will continue to be under pressure in the inventory. We have another thing called option arm loans, which are also called pick and pay loans, that are going to hit us for the next 5 years on resets. And we also have a lot of people getting laid off who are going to lose their homes. So the bottoming in the real estate market is not going to come for at least 2 or 3 or 4 years. And then goodness knows how long it's going to go sideways or bump along the bottom. And so I am not an advocate of retail, residential, real estate unless you've got a real long-term plan. The commercial real estate business is frozen. They can't get any money. And a lot of them, especially the big mall operators,